Assalamu alaikum, my friends. My name is Dr. Muhammad Shahbaz. So I'm with my new weekly video log. So I request my friends, please subscribe my channel, like it, and share it among your friends. So last week I just put a request on Facebook to enhance the number of subscribers for my channel because I'm having a 3,210 Facebook friends. So some of my friends, they requested me, why not you share your research experience with us, because we are beginners in research, so we are facing some difficulties, how to publish papers in a good journal, how to become a good researcher. So I like the idea, so I thought, okay, so I should come up with you to share my experience. So maybe you will get information or guidance or new aspects of how to choose a topic, how to choose a methodology, how to choose a research period, how to choose a research area, how to choose a journal for publishing your paper. So if I share my experience with you being a student, so I was graduated from Applied Economics Research Center because we have a degree of MAS, Master in Applied Sciences, because before that I am having a Master of Economics. Okay, so during my study there, so my mentor Muhammad Shahbaz, because totally today what I have achieved, I give credit to my teacher. If you delete his name from my career or from my achievements, so I would be totally zero. So fortunately, in the whole career of my education, I was blessed with a good teachers, and till I'm having very good teacher. Okay, so who till today guide me regarding some of my publications, some new aspects of how to find area, how to find how to contribute in the existing literature theoretically and empirically. So I'm thankful to all my teachers, to all my colleagues, to all my students. So okay, so being a student, as I told you, I was in Applied Economics Research Center. So my mentor, Muhammad Shahbaz, he advised me, Muhammad, try to develop your reading habit. Once you have your reading habit like a 4 to 6 hour minimum or maximum 6 to 8 hours, so you can think you can become a good researcher. Before that, it is useless. To think about the things. Okay, so I choose the portion, the part of the library where already my three teacher, Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, so who graduated from also from AERC, who also choose the same chair, same table, which I choose for my study. My late Dr. Muhammad Mohsen Hasnain, so then Dr. Shaista Alam. I was the fourth person. Just using that chair, that table for my research. So because I have noticed some people, they come to the library, they chit chat, then go outside for having lunch, for having breakfast. But I try my best to save my time and to discipline my time, because once you discipline yourself, then things would be on the smooth way. So this is up to you how to discipline yourself, how you manage your time. Okay, so I have developed my this habit for reading maximum 6 to 8 hours during my studentship. But after that, once I'm in the practical life, then you would be surprised. Till today, I used to work for 14 hours per day. Then now you can think how much hard work I do being a professor. So being a student, we should be very careful about the use of our time, because time is your money, is my money, is money for everybody. So if you are not careful with your time, so time will kill you very soon. So after that, once I developed my habit for reading 6 to 8 hours in the library, then I try to read almost articles published in the difficult journals like American Economic Review. I was a student of I was a student of MAS, but I was touching American Economic Review, Journal for Monetary Economics, Journal of Political Economy, Journal of Development Studies, because one of my teacher, Muhammad Iqbal, he said, Muhammad, if you learn one sentence from the whole article, So you may think you are a capable person, you are doing something good. So after that, I'm spending 8 to 9 months in library with the habit of reading 6 to 8 hours. I just noticed that everything in the library is on my fingertips. So being a researcher, or to become a good researcher, once you have the knowledge about the material, so then I think your 50% job for research is done. Okay, so after developing your habit for reading, now the second portion may be derived from this habit. You have to see yourself in which area you want to do research. You want to go to energy economics, environmental economics, or political economics, or monetary economics, or financial economics, or development economics. So as I told you, because having knowledge about all the journals in the library, so I was interested to do something on how financial development or how finance contributes to poverty reduction. So it is mostly comes in the development economics side. Okay, so Journal of Development Studies is a suitable journal for such kind of studies. So okay, so I just searched all the issues of that journal, and I found some interesting articles written on financial development and poverty reduction. So first of all, I choose the base article. Okay, then I printed all the references and I started reading. So after reading, I just one thing came in my mind. Why not I go to the Google and put the title of that article and see how many people they cited this article. Okay, I think one of my friend, I remember the name Muhammad Shahbaz. I was just searching all the articles cited by different researchers in the different countries. So I found almost 50 to 60 articles that are very relevant to my area and cited by the different researchers. So I took print and then I started reading. Once I read all the articles, then I came to know, okay, this article is written by this guy. So these are the guys who cited his article. Okay, so they covered these areas. Okay, no one has seen about how trade openness affects the income of poor segments of population. Nobody has seen how financial liberalization affects poverty reduction. So, and the most important and interesting thing, there was no study on Pakistan. The base article was written, it was a cross-sectional study. Okay, so then I found some panel studies, but I could not find a time series studies. So this is an other kind of research just I got from my reading. So then I thought, okay, so it is better to write article on Pakistan, because by that time it was, I think, 2007. The head count ratio is an indicator we used to mention the poverty. So that was 33% by that time. So I thought it's too much. Our one-third portion is living under the line of poverty. So it is better. And by those time, if we remember on the history of Pakistan, so then you see in 2005, 6 and 7, State Bank of Pakistan was implementing the third generation financial reforms. So it was interesting for me. Okay, so I should choose this topic and I do research in the case of Pakistan. So this is the way I'm absolutely just sharing my experience with you. So this is the way I just crossed the first step. I developed my reading habit. Then with the help of this reading habit, I just choose my research area. Now, inshallah, in the coming fourth episodes of this series, I will explain you how to choose the methodology, how to interpret the results, how to compare your results with the other people. So then how you can get the policy implications from your empirical results. So till then, take care of your family and yourself. Goodbye. So in previous vlog, in last week, we just talked about how to develop a good habit for reading in one go, a minimum 4 to 6 hours and maximum 6 to 8 hours per day. Because I think this is the basic requirement for becoming a good researcher. And when you develop these requirements, then no one can stop you. And then you definitely will become a good researcher. But in developing economies are countries which have a very short history. I'm talking about the time period. So we have to see good sources for data, because the second thing for becoming a good researcher is how to collect data and how to select the time period. But before that, I'm just coming to one point, because basically the people who are doing research in developing economies, including me, I also use this habit during my beginning of life as a researcher, because that time up till today I'm learning too much from my experience, from my professors, from my colleagues, and most important from life. So everything is teaching to me day by day. So similarly, when we were young in research, or we were beginner in research like me, so I try to learn my best from my colleagues. But what I'm looking nowadays, that people, what they do, they just take model from one study and on one country, and then they just change the data, and they do their research paper or research on the same topic. Yesterday I found one proposal from Gulf country. So that proposal basically mentioned in the proposal, this study has already been done on India, and now we are going to do it on the Asian countries. So unfortunately, I rejected that proposal just on one objection, on one point. Basically, once this study is already done on India, then what is new in this study that should be done on the Asian countries? So there was no satisfactory contribution in the proposal. So I think today authors, they got a rejection via email. So similarly, I have a question. Once you select a model of any country, and in business studies people, they do this oftenly, so then you should see the historical background. Let's say we are doing the same research for two countries. If I talk about, okay, we talk about UK, so we are doing one study on UK. Okay, we have done it, and now with my team I'm thinking, okay, why not we replicate this study on Pakistan? But here very basic things we have to see. And I think if you read the book written by Damodar Gujarati, chapter 6, so where he mentioned, so once we need to compare the studies. So when we and similarly when we replicate the studies, we see, okay, either the historical background of UK is similar with Pakistan, or industrialization process happened or occurred in UK is same with Pakistan, or with India, or with the other Asian countries, or with the other countries, or a European history is similar with the Gulf countries, or with the African countries, or with the other countries. So I think no. So when is no, then I don't think we can replicate a model of UK study on Pakistan. The reason, UK has 600 years history, and Pakistan has just I think 60-70 years, maybe 74 73, something like that. So hell of a difference. That's why I say, once you choose a model, so then you should compare these things: historical, economic structure, then social structure, then political structure, then economic globalization, political globalization, then the cultural globalization. All these things we have to see, then we choose the model. If we simply, okay, so this study is already done on UK, so we just change the data and put the data for Pakistan, and we can do a new study. Yes, it is a new study, but the thing is, let's say if I have done a very good paper on Pakistan, and people, I have seen some young researchers, what they have done, I chosen a period from 1972 to 2010. Okay, the new guy, he came, he just, I read my paper, he said, okay, Muhammad Shahbaz chosen this period, so why not I just cut his chosen period and I do this. So that guy, he chooses, study period from 1984 till 2020. So he did a paper, and of course paper will be published, because editors, they believe on your honesty. When you submit paper to the journal, the first thing editor he just assumes about you. Okay, so whatever you have written is true and on the basic ethical values. So once we write, okay, so our is a first study, our is a pioneer study, so everybody believes on that. But on our side, we should be honest with our work. And we what happened after that? Okay, you get your paper published, but once new researchers, they come and they see, so I think they will not cite your paper, they will cite my paper. So this is not your simple research paper, this is your future. So you should take care of your future like your baby, because I believe my research papers, they are my babies. So that's why I do care of my babies very carefully, just to save my future. So after carefully choosing the model, so you come to the sample selection. You think about the time period, you think about the sample period, you think about the for what time is suitable for this study. It is a separate thing that you choose time series data, panel data, or cross-sectional data, because it depends on the nature of your study. Either you are going to conduct a cross-sectional study, or you are going to do panel study, or single country or time series study. So okay, so now in the case of Pakistan, or in the case of, like, say, we talk about the South Africa. Okay, so I'm an international guy, so I just go to World Development Indicators, because World Development Indicator means it is providing data for all the countries in the world. But it would be time series data, annual data. Again, if you need data set of quarterly and monthly, then you have to see the other data sources. But we should be thankful to eViews. Now you can convert your annual data into quarter and into sub-annual into monthly. It is up to you and requirement of your work. So these are things very important after selecting the model, or after when you choose your empirical model. If you are going to replicate your study, chosen from the other country. Let's say this study is already done on UK, and you just pick the model and do it on the South Africa. So this is called replication, because according to my experience, I have seen 3 types of research is being done in the world. And once we just separate the developing economies, so then you will find such kind of research. First, we do just replication, take model, change data, and change the country. So we do the replication. Yes, I did in my career, but I believe I have done some mistakes, and I don't want you should also do similar kind of mistakes that I had already done in my career. That's why you should be very choosy, because now competition is very strong in the world, and technology is very advanced. You have great access to the data sources, to all the materials. Just you can go and put the title of your requirements. You will get 1,000 number of articles already published in different journals. So that's why today world is more globalized compared to the world was in 2007, 2008, or 2009. So that's why now competition also is very high among the researchers. So it means you have to do hard work to save your career, just to see the things. Okay, so now model is selected. Okay, so you have chosen the period, so it's okay, no problem. Now again, the other issue, this is a part of a second issue, data selection. We should go for the linear study, or we should go for the non-linear study. Okay, it is separate what kind of approach you have to apply in your empirical model. It is based on the nature of the data. Let's say if you see my research, mostly I'm thankful to everybody who is reading my research, and I'm thankful to God that God has given me this ability and this capacity, that I'm doing something for the whole mankind, not for Pakistan nation, not for the Muslim nation, but for the whole mankind. So you have seen in my in major of my papers, you will see I insert the table of descriptive statistics and pairwise correlations. Why I go for the descriptive statistics? Because descriptive statistics gives us information about the mode, median, standard deviation, then the other thing. But the most important thing is Jarek-Bera test. Okay, that Jarek-Bera test basically tells us about the distribution of our data we have selected for our empirical model. Either our data is normally distributed, or our data is not normally distributed. So let's say you have a decision, okay, so your data is normally distributed, so you can go for the approaches which are linear in nature. Like we can talk about the Johansson, we can talk about ARDL, we can talk about bootstrapping modeling, we can talk about novel bootstrapping, ARDL, such kind of approaches. But on the other side, if Jarek-Bera tells you that your data set is not normally distributed, so then we should go for the asymmetric approaches. What is asymmetric approaches? Non-linear approaches. Okay, so in non-linear one, once we go, so then we can go, I think, rolling window approaches, then we can go to the asymmetric ARDL or non-ARDL, something like that. We can go to the quintile ARDL or quintile causality or quintile unit root testing, something like that. So we have to make a decision based on the Jarek-Bera results in which side we should go for the empirical analysis. So all these points, they are very informative and very we should do very carefully our research, because once you are keen to do your research very carefully, then I think at the end of the day you will have a very good research paper in your hands. And every editor in economics, they love to publish your work. So in last 2 episodes, I told you how to develop your habit in one go. I mean, you can study maximum 6 to 8 hours and minimum 4 to 6 hours. It is up to you. And I told you from my experience, this is the fundamental principle to become a good researcher. So additionally, in second episode, I explained you in how we can go to replicate a study if it is already done on one country and you want to replicate it to the other country. So if you want to replicate already done studies to the other countries, we have to see at least some similarities between two countries. Let's say we we have already done one study on UK and we want to do another study on French economy. In that way we can see we can see some similarities. Let's say we can talk about social structure of both countries, we can talk about economic structure of both countries, we can talk about historical backgrounds of both countries, we can talk about political structure of both countries, we can talk about cultural structure of both countries. So in that way, if we find some similarity, then it is relevant to do to replicate study. If it is already done on UK, then we can do on French economy. But on the other side, as I told you in my last 2 videos, that at least we should think about some little bit contribution to the existing literature. I mean, we have to modify the model, we have to add something new in the theory, we have to add something new in the form of variables. So then we can at least satisfy ourselves, okay, so I'm doing something in the existing literature, even I'm replicating the study. So then I just explained you, okay, after that we go for the application of approaches. So it is totally depend on the nature of the data, because I told you countries, they have different historical backgrounds. If we talk about UK, so maybe it has more than 600 years history. If we talk about America, so it has more than 200 years history. Some countries, they have 400 years history. Some countries, they have 50 years history. If in the case of Pakistan, if we say, so we have 74 years of history. So in Indian case, it is more. In Bangladeshi case, we are same with Bangladesh, so some other countries in the region. So if we have a look on the selected sample period which we choose for our study to do empirical analysis. So we first look at the trend of the variables. Either the variables they are moving with the same trend, there's no fluctuation, or variables moving with fluctuations. Okay, sometimes variable trend shows downward, then in the next phase variable shows the upward trends, then maybe in the form of fluctuations. So if we have a look on the stock market's variable data, so then you can see such kind of fluctuations very rapidly. Okay, so I told you, if you read my papers and you see, I add one table which is called descriptive statistics and pairwise correlation, or pairwise correlation and descriptive statistics. So in descriptive statistics, I told you we have one test which is called Jarek-Bera test. So that test basically guides you, so which kind of approaches you should apply for your empirical model. Okay, so on one variable, let's say we talk about the economic growth, and if this Jarek-Bera test tells the normal distribution of that variable. If our variable is having normal distribution, then we should move for the linear side approaches. Okay, so it has a new world. And if our variable does not show normal distribution, or our variable is not normally distributed, mentioned by Jarek-Bera, then we should move to the non-linear approaches. Okay, if we talk about the linear approach, let's say, then we talk about like ARDL, we talk about Johansson, we talk about some other like FMOLS, we can talk about DOLS, then we can talk about so many other approaches. But this is the linear side, because once we talk about a linear side and then the non-linear side, so both are the different words, so we cannot accommodate them on the same way. So we have to think differently once we apply the linear approach and once we go for the non-linear approaches. Okay, so after that, once you have a decision or guidance through Jarek-Bera test, okay, you should move for the linear side. So we talk about time series, because I'm just keeping panel data on the other side, and right now we will just talk about time series. So once we use the time series data, so our next question comes in our mind is, we should see the unit root properties of the variables, or we should see stationarity properties of the variables. Okay, because we say once variable has the constant variance, so we say variable is stationary. But if the variance of that particular variable changes with the passage of time, then we say there is a unit root problem. So there are some other definitions also available in the text. Okay, who can indicate you either your variable is stationary or either your variable is non-stationary. So in that sense, we go for the unit root test. So there are many tests available in the econometric literature. Okay, we start from Dickey flow test, just published in 1979. Then we talk about augmented Dickey flow test, published in 1981. Then we talk about Phillips parent test. We can talk about NG parent. We can talk about GLS test. So there are so many tests, but the issue with these tests is they don't accommodate information about the structural breaks in the variables. Why such structural breaks occur in the time series? The reason we select the time series data, let's say we can talk about Pakistan data, so we selected it from 1972 to 2018. So we have to see the trend of the variables. During this sample period, is there any major change in the trend of the variable? If there is a change, so then we can say, okay, so this change is due to some implementation of economic policies in this economy. So such kind of changes we can capture through the application of structural break unit root test. Why basically we move to the structural break unit root test? The reason is, once we know, through our experience and through our look at the data, so then this kind of indication should be captured by the unit root test. Okay, if you apply the traditional unit root test, so it's okay, no problem. We can find okay, the variable is stationary at level, or variable is stationary at first difference. So it means but it would be in the absence of structural breaks. but we know our data set has such kind of issues, then we should move to the structural based unit to test. Let's say if you use, mostly I use e-views, so I find one test is called ADF test with the structural breaks. Okay, so I go for it. Why I apply this test? Because it accommodates information about single unknown structural break. There are many other tests that are double structural break tests, multiple structural break tests. So like my own test just published in 2018 is the sharp and smooth structural break test, which is called SOAR unit 2 test. So we have to see which test is applicable. Why I go for the single unknown structural break unit 2 test? Because once I apply this test, then it would be easy for me to accommodate the dummy for a single structural break test when I go for the application of autoregressive distributive lag modeling or ARDL bound testing. It would be easy for me to accommodate a single dummy to just capture the effect of that particular structural break in the series when I estimate the co-integration. So there are some other tests like bootstrap ARDL. So basically I use the e-views version of that test. That's why I just accommodate single structural break, because it is up to the learning how much I learned. So till I'm learning. So that's why. But if we go to the original, I mean bootstrapping ARDL that people they use Gauss, then R, then the other softwares. So you see bootstrapping ARDL, they can accommodate single, double and triple structural breaks during the estimation of bootstrapping ARDL. You can find such some paper published with bootstrapping ARDL, and they just mention the presence of multiple structural breaks during the estimation process. But from my side, as I told you, I just use the single unknown structural break test. So now 2 points I mentioned you. First, we should apply unit 2 test without structural breaks. So let's say we will find all the variables are stationary at first difference. It's good, but you should also know that these results are ambiguous, because we know there is a structural break in our data, or our data set is having the change in fluctuations, or our data set has fluctuations. Okay, so we should apply some unit 2 testing, okay, with structural break. So let's say the new test which you apply for the unit 2 testing, but in the presence of structural breaks, and the results are similar with the traditional unit 2 structure, with the traditional unit 2 test. So it's good. It means your traditional tests, they show all the variables are stationary at first difference. Then your structural break unit 2 test also validate the previous results. It means you are on the right track. Because if you just focus on traditional unit 2 tests, so I think you are detracked. So once you are on the detracked way, so it means your next empirical analysis would also be ambiguous. Okay, so once you accommodate this structural break in your data, in your autoregressive distributive lag modeling, so it means you are at least trying to give something new to the editor or to the audience. The reason such kind of rigor empirical analysis, robust empirical analysis makes you to write a better abstract, because all the hard work, all the rigorness, all the robustness of your empirical analysis basically encourages you to write a very good abstract. And this abstract shows you how much you are hard worker, because editor of any journal, in the economics area, it also depends either you have submitted your paper to the relevant journal or to the irrelevant journal. If you have submitted your paper to the relevant journal according to the scope of your topic, so then editor of that particular journal, he will see, okay, you have done a very good empirical analysis, and you have shown your hard work in the small abstract. So then he will decide either your abstract should be eligible for empirical for the review process, or it should be rejected. Because once according to Johansson, minimum you need a one co-integrating vector, okay, and maximum you need m minus 1 quantitative vectors for showing the integration between the variables for your chosen model. Let's say I talk about the production function, just including trade. So you may say, y is a function of trade, capital and labor. Just we have 4 variables. So if I apply Johansson, so minimum I need 1 quantitative vectors to show the integration between determinants of economic growth and economic growth, and maximum I can I have 3 quantitative vectors, because I told you m minus 1. Okay, so 1 quantitative vector also confirms the presence of integration between the variables, and 3 quantitative vectors also confirm the existence of integration between trade openness, capital, labor and economic growth. So such kind of touch we can also do in autoregressive distributive lag modeling. Many people, even younger and then the experienced people, they just estimate the production function and they just have one F statistics, computed ARDL F statistics. So on this basis they can decide, okay, it is okay. I'm not saying they are not on the right way. They are on the right way, but I mean to say we can give the Johansson touch even in here. How? Let's say in one model you make economic growth is your dependent variable. Okay. In the second model you can make trade openness is your dependent variable. Then in the third model you can make capital is your dependent variable. In the fourth model you can make labor is your dependent variable. So based on these 4 models, you can again estimate the computed ARDL F statistics. And as I told you, you have already applied the structural break unit test. Okay, so for each variable, that test gives you the different break years. So accordingly, once you accommodate dummy in ARDL estimation, so you have to change the break years according to the requirement of the variable. So then you can estimate the number of computed ARDL F statistics. If your computed F statistics is greater than upper critical bound, it means there is a integration. If it is less than lower critical bound, it means there is no integration. But if your computed ARDL F statistics lies between upper and lower bound, then we say our decision is inconclusive. There is no decision. So now you can see, let's say in the first 3 variables you have F statistics that just exceed the upper critical bound. It means you have 3 quantitative vectors. In other case, let's say you have 2 F statistics who exceed the critical bound. It means you have 2 quantitative vectors in your domestic production function framework. And in the other model, let's say you have just one, F statistics in the original model that exceeds the upper critical bound. So it means there is co-integration. If you have 2 co-integrating vectors, it means there is co-integration. If you have 3 co-integrating vectors, it means there is a co-integration. So this is the case, just to give the touch of Johansson, but it is not compulsory. But nowadays, if you see all my work, so I'm just doing the same exercise that I explained you right now. Okay, so this is the issue. This is the third fundamental principle. We talk about the how to become a good researcher. One more thing in ARDL, don't just put yourself to estimate the statistics. You should also go to see the serial correlation issue in ARDL estimation. You should also see the normality issue in estimation of ARDL. You should see the arch test. You should see the white heteroscedasticity. You should also see the Ramsay reset test, which shows you, which just tells you about the specification of your ARDL model. And at the end, we have two very beautiful tests. It's called QSUM and QSUM square. So basically, once we talk about the QSUM and QSUM squares, so you see there are 2 critical bounds upper critical bound in the red form, then the lower upper critical bound, then the lower critical bound in the red lines. Okay, then your estimated line is should be blue, so that should be between the critical bounds. If this blue line is just between the upper and lower critical bounds, it means the estimates for ARDL are reliable. But if the blue line crosses your red line, might be upper limit, might be lower limit, so it means there is a structural break again that should be estimated by you. So till then, I think it is enough for you. So in the next video log, we will come with the fourth fundamental principle, how to become a good researcher. Till then, take care of yourself and your family. Goodbye.